In the heart of Penticton, where the vibrant hues of the Okanagan landscape meet the golden years of life, a remarkable journey unfolds. Welcome to Artsy Aging in the Okanagan, a captivating series exploring the transformative power of art classes that help enhance the lives of seniors and create a tight-knit community. Penticton, a picturesque town nestled between lush vineyards and the tranquil waters of two Okanagan lakes, becomes the canvas for a group of seniors on a journey of self-discovery and lifelong connections. As the series unfolds, we witness the laughter shared over spilled paint, the joy that comes with creative breakthroughs, and the warmth of a supportive community that transcends age and background. Artsy Aging in the Okanagan invites viewers to join this enchanting journey where art becomes the bridge that connects hearts, crossing the boundaries of time and bringing colorful vibrance to the golden years. Hello.
Hi, Alice.
Could you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your background and experiences with senior art programs in the Okanagan?
Yeah, so my name is Tristan Joseph Boisvert. I'm a settler of French and English descent. I grew up here in the Similkameen, which is about half an hour away from Penticton. So we're kind of neighbors to the South Okanagan. It's a very rural community, and I often found myself with seniors. My mother worked at a care facility for assisted living, and so I'd often find myself there as a teenager volunteering. She was an activities coordinator, so I always got wrangled in to help pack out the supplies and get everything set up. And it's something that I really enjoyed. I found myself connecting more with the senior demographic than kids my own age. And I think that was just due to the fact that I wanted more than what was being offered to me. And I just soaked up all of the knowledge that those people had. They'd been through life, and I was just so fascinated with their experiences, with their knowledge, with the way that they saw the world. And it just really inspired me to live.
What a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah.
How do you believe the presence of art programs for seniors has positively affected the broader Okanagan community?
Yeah, I think art programming for seniors, it creates visibility. It creates visibility for a demographic that doesn't always have focus on it. We know that here in the Okanagan, and especially after the pandemic, there is a lot of social isolation. There's a lot of need for connection. And I think having arts programming for seniors, it gives that visibility to the greater public that there are seniors here. They are wanting to engage in activities, they are wanting to connect, and they have so much to share. So I think it's a beautiful thing that we're able to provide some of that programming here to create that awareness and hopefully receive more momentum and go out even more into the community.
I know the Artsy Agers often comment on how they feel they've created a sort of a community in this group. And I think that spreads when they leave this group into the broader community too.
Yeah, the Artsy Agers, they're just a powerhouse of goodness. Every time I go down there, I can be sitting at my computer and getting really stuck in small details, and then I'll just wander down there. Even if they see me or not, I'll just maybe go to the supply closet and get some stuff, and I can hear the laughing, and I can hear just the joy of being in community, being together. And I think that's a really special thing to have, to create, to share.
What advice would you give to seniors who are considering joining art groups in our classes?
do it. Do it. Get out there. Don't be scared. Sometimes the first step is the hardest. And then the second comes along right after. So I would say any hesitation you have, any fear you have that you might not fit in, art doesn't judge. Art is inclusive. So I would say just get out there, find a group. And sometimes that group might not fit, and that's okay. And just look for another one. We luckily have multiple groups here in the Okanagan, and spaces, no matter what art form you want to partake in. So yeah, just reach out, don't be scared.
I know we've done some artsy aging groups in the local mall here, and a few of the artsy agers have told me that they would not have known that this was available unless they had seen that and participated there.
Yeah, definitely diversity of location is extremely important, especially with accessibility needs. For those of us that are able-bodied, for those of us that have a vehicle, getting around Penticton is no problem. We can go from lake to lake and access programming or activities, no problem. But for those that have a barrier in place, the difference of a few blocks sometimes can make all the difference. So we're definitely striving to focus more on accessibility needs and reducing barriers as we move forward with not only seniors programming, but just all of our arts programming in general.
Great, that's good. How would you like your story and experiences to inspire others, both seniors and the community at large?
Yeah, I think pulling it back around to my own experience growing up in a rural community, sometimes both as seniors and youth, we don't have a lot of people to engage with. They're two, in terms of age gap, they're the furthest apart, and yet I often find they have the most in common. So I think just those that are watching this, that to know that there's sometimes community where you least expect it. And I think sometimes our grandparents are not the best example just because they're family, and I've had probably some of the most in-depth and connected conversations with people 50 years older than me, and I feel like I'm just talking to a friend. Like, that age just suddenly disappears, and it's just, yeah, so don't be scared to volunteer at a local care home or a seniors drop-in center. There's so many great places here with so many fun people. So sometimes you have to look in places you didn't expect. You'd have to look to find that connection.
So true. I recall volunteering at a seniors lodge in my early 20s, and I was teaching macrame, and just fascinated with how engaged they were in the whole process and the communication in the group.
Yeah, definitely hearing my mom will come home from work, and she's working in a assisted living home again, a different one than when I was growing up, but just hearing the life stories of the people there, they just inspire you. And it's also reflective of the life story that I'm living now, where, I'm not, we always think we're reinventing the wheel, but the wheel has turned many times. So it's nice to get that comfort from people's experience and be like, oh, I'm not alone. These things I'm feeling, these things I'm doing, they've been done before, and the people that did them, they prevailed. So it's really inspiring.
True. In the context of this documentary, what legacy do you hope to leave for future generations of seniors in the Okanagan?
Definitely my goal, like I said, is to have more accessible programming that is flexible and low barrier. I just really want to see a thriving arts community in general, and to see all of those microcosms of communities within the community at large thrive as well. So I really hope to create more intergenerational opportunities.
one of the things I really appreciate that you're saying you want to reduce the barriers. We do have some artsy agers in our group who have mobility issues.
Yeah.
And it's quite heartwarming to see the rest of the groups all helping out the people who need it.
Yeah, when people share that sense of community, then if there is a barrier in place, there's no barrier too big to overcome. We're always stronger together.
True. All right. What are your hopes and aspirations for the future of art programs for seniors in the community?
I definitely aspire to have diverse and inclusive programming that's accessible. So looking at multiple locations where we can hold continuous programming, and just creating a really strong foundation so that when I'm no longer here, alive, but just maybe not working here, that the next person can easily step into that role and continue that. So just building a really strong foundation for seniors art programming here. And then also working with diverse organizations, which is the case with Aging Well. The committee that's made up of 14 different organizations. We meet monthly and there's strength in partnerships. So I think that committee is a really great example of some really interesting and inclusive work being done in Penticton. And the city of Penticton also sitting on that board. So they've really made it clear what their focus for the future is, and they've really made seniors a priority. So, yeah.
And how long have you been working in the position you're in now?
I've been here for 7 months.
7 months.
Yep.
It's flown by.
I know. It's.
I really appreciate working with you on this program here.
Yeah.
I think you've done a great job.
I'm always singing you praises, Alice. If I could have you running all of our programs, I would.
Oh my. Thank you so much for this interview. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Alice. We'll see you on Thursday.
Yeah, for a party.
For a party, yeah.
An Easter party.
You guys always have food.
Good food, yeah. Hello, Nancy. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you, Alice.
Could you introduce yourself and spell your name, please?
I'm Nancy Dearborn, and my name is spelled Nancy Dearborn.
Can you tell us a bit about your background and experience as a senior living in the Okanagan area?
Well, my background is from the Fraser Valley. I was born and raised, and we had all 5 of our kids there, and we moved to the Okanagan 20 years ago. Some of our kids had already left home, and some were just finishing up high school. And we originally moved to Kelowna, and then we've moved several times since then, and out to West Kelowna, and 2 years ago out to the White Lake grasslands in the Caledon area. And I think just the more that we aged, we just seek out quieter spaces, I would say, and more nature around us. We've lived a very busy life, raised a lot of kids, and so we are just seeking out those more relaxing spaces. And the Okanagan certainly has an abundance of opportunities for us to do that.
Oh, so true.
Yeah.
We've recently moved up to the area where you are. The peacefulness of the quiet up there is
so quiet.
It's healing.
It's very healing. But it's not too far from, the city and culture and all kinds of opportunities when we do want to get out and do some things as well. So
it's true.
Mm-hmm.
We are sitting amongst your beautiful artwork here.
Thank you.
Can you tell me a little bit about this? It's fused glass?
It is fused glass, that's right. A lot of people think the only way to make glass is through blowing it, and that certainly is a very popular way to make glass. Fused glass has been around since the Egyptians. It's been around a long time, but it was more recently reintroduced in the 70s or 80s. And so all of this glass that you would see here is heated mostly in a kiln, and I build it up layer upon layer and fuse it together, bringing it up to 1550 degrees and back down again slowly. And some pieces spend more than 100 hours in the kiln. So I started out in painting and photography and woodwork, but always loved glass. So when I got an opportunity, I ran with it.
It's interesting how one medium really strikes our heart, isn't it? I was making paper this morning with the Artsy agers, so that's my first love, is paper making.
Wow.
I've been doing that for 40 years. So
wow,
going back
that's a long time.
Yeah, I don't get as much opportunity, so I'm happy to be able to teach it once in a while. Are you involved in art classes or groups for seniors in the Okanagan?
I haven't been yet, no. My artwork is full-time. I work this time of year between 40 and 60 hours a week doing my artwork. It's also something very, very personal, and it has become my voice, and it speaks for me in many ways. Even my husband knocks on the studio door before he comes in. So I work in a very quiet, solitude way, and I do interact with other artists, and we network together and have become friends with some, but I'm not any part of any sort of official group.
Okay. What motivated or inspired you to create this art? I heard a little bit of the story. I came and visited while you were setting up this exhibition, and I was just fascinated with the story.
Okay, so let me just clarify what motivated me to create this show, or glass art in general. So
this show particularly.
Okay.
But both, if you want to answer both.
Well, as I said, glass, from the time I can remember, has captivated me. But raising a large family, it just wasn't a medium that was, that I would be able to pursue. It's expensive, it requires a lot of tools and space, so it had to wait until our family was grown. But this particular show is, this is in homage to my dad. My dad, he was an incredible man. No matter what he was going through, he would look for something beautiful in his circumstances. Daddy raised me to do anything. No wasn't in the vocabulary unless I tried already, and Dad certainly believed in me a lot more than I believed in myself. He was my greatest cheering squad, and I miss him a lot. I lost him last year, and after Dad passed away, I just found myself in my studio, and I felt like my creative voice was just quiet, and I'm used to, as an artist, going into the studio and living out my journey in my work, and it was just a really hard time. And for the 10 months before Dad passed away, he was moved to a different province that was unfamiliar to him, and he really didn't want to be there. And he was going through a tough time, and but he was determined he was going to make the best of it. And so we decided the only way through, because we were really missing each other, was to phone each other each night, and Dad would call each night and give me the best thing he found that day, or celebrate the best moment that day, and just look for the beautiful. And Dad didn't have an easy life, but he had a beautiful life, and Mom too, she's still alive. And, you know, it wasn't easy raising all of us, and certainly they went through hardship, but his choice was to look for the beautiful in all things. So I decided that I would go look for Dad in a place that he existed. And I went outside and started enjoying the beauty around me. As I said, we relocated 2 years ago to this area, and it wasn't for circumstances that we were excited about. And I was willing to come, but wasn't really sure I wanted to. So through this process, after my dad passed away, and started to remember, you know, this is how my dad lived, and he set a good example, everything just started to open up, and it's been a very soft landing for us there. And as I went out in nature and as I appreciated the beauty all around me, it really inspired me to create this work and dedicate it to my dad.
What a wonderful story and a wonderful memory.
Yeah.
And a tribute to your father. Could you share a specific moment or experience that stands out for you from your time spent in your art activities?
Probably the one that is most significant was a turning point. As I said, I was involved in the arts from the time I can remember, painting and doing things. But it was a little more than 13 years ago that my husband and I were away in Whidbey Island, and it was my first opportunity working with glass. I'd always wanted to, and we found a little spot that you paid them a few dollars, and they would let you dabble around with glass in the back of the pottery studio. So we did that, and I had no idea what I was in for, of course, and I had no idea it'd be 2 days before I would see what I made. But it was that weekend that when I got my piece back, that my whole world exploded, and there was only ever glass after that. My husband and I were walking through the woods, and he was asking me how it felt, and I was very excited and going on, and all of a sudden it looked like the sky was on fire. We thought we were in a forest fire, and we turned around, and it was a sunset. And my husband said, "I think there's your answer, even the sky is smiling today." And nice. I created a piece called Sky on Fire. It's actually sitting over there, but it was just a knowing in that moment. And even when my husband went to pay for the little piece that I had made, the lady said, "Congratulations, sir, you've just earned yourself another mortgage." We both just knew that my camera was left behind, my acrylics were left behind, and I stepped forward, and this became my voice. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. And you speak it so well with your voice.
Thank you.
How has your art influenced your sense of community and belonging in the Okanagan?
Oh, a great deal. A very great deal. Quite a number of years ago, when we were still living in Kelowna, I went to sort of my first exhibition. It was at the Curling Club. I'm not even sure how many years it was, but I was very nervous, and I had a booth there, and it wasn't super well attended, and I think all of the artists were a little disappointed, except that we got to know each other. And I came home and just said to my husband, "I found my people, I found my tribe." And since then, that has exploded in many ways. And it has been such a pleasure being involved in the arts and connecting with a community of all walks of life, and offered opportunity to learn other people's stories and to share my story and just build connection. And it's been such a privilege.
Oh, wonderful. I have found since I've been in the Okanagan that it's a very supportive community of artists here.
Yeah, it's been really good.
Can you describe any friendships or relationships you've formed with your involvement in the art?
I can. As I said, I've built connections and friendships with other artists. But I recall a time I was involved at on Highway 97, close to Peachland. There's an art gallery called Gallery 97. It's no longer there. Probably about 8 years ago, I was exhibiting there at a show, and an acquaintance came in to support me and wanted to see what I did, and the other artists as well that were there. And so far, that girl has never missed anything, and her and I have become extremely close friends. I just feel privileged. Her name is Kim, and her husband and my husband have become very close friends. We go camping with them. We go all over. So that particular friendship, and there's many, but that particular friendship was born out of art, really, and it's very, very special. It's wonderful to be able to journey along life, especially in your senior years, with somebody you feel connected to.
True, yes. Especially through art.
Yes. Well,
someone who understands what you do,
just gets
and your passion.
Yes. Yeah.
In what ways have you seen art contribute to building connections among senior community in the Okanagan?
Well, that is a great question, and I thought, well, is it specific to seniors? No, but what's interesting to me is anytime I have opportunity to connect with the seniors, I learn so much from them. I had a group of ladies come to my little home gallery just this last week, and I was surprised to learn how old they were. One was in her late 70s, and one was in her 80s, and the other one was 91. And they had so much to contribute to me as an artist, and the questions they asked were so relatable. They've got some miles under their feet. And so I don't know their living circumstances. I don't know whether they're married or single or any of those things, but I know that these women get together every single week and connect, and they do a lot with the arts, and they have come down to my show, and also on opening day here I had many conversations with seniors, and again the questions they ask, they have a depth to them because they've got a lot of miles under their feet, and maybe some of these opportunities weren't available to them when they were, I'm a young senior, and I mean, I'm hoping I'll have couple more decades left. But yeah, I see a lot of connection there, and in this place in particular, there's a lot of opportunities to be able to learn art and practice art and view art.
Right.
And it connects people.
Definitely, yes. The Artsy Aging group I do has become a sort of community.
Oh, yeah.
So that these people support each other, and in a way that younger people sort of don't have, like you said, more miles under their feet, perhaps, is what drives their capacity to be able to do that.
Yeah. Lots of shared experience.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm. And time, when you're finished parenting and you're not working as hard as you did before, it gives you time to be able to appreciate art, to be able to participate in art.
And how many of us haven't done that? We put it off until. So it's nice to see people picking up all of those things that they have put off until.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What the paper making I was doing this morning was the seniors. I was explaining that as a young single mom, I was experimenting with something to fill my evenings in them. And I would experiment with paper making, and the pulp at the end of the evening, I would squeeze it all out in handfuls and line it up along the counters. And my kids got up and said it looked like paper poops. So that term has stuck, so every time I do paper making with people, I explain the story of the paper poops.
You should copyright that phrase. I'm sure it'll become part of the language.
Right. How has engaging in artistic activities impacted your emotional well-being and overall quality of life?
Well, My artistic activities seep into every single facet of my life. So I would say art has saved me emotionally. This last period of grief, we've had actually a couple of very challenging years. And I always go to the studio and work it out and journey it out through my art. My art is intertwined with nature. So I will go outside and do studies of what's going on in our world and then bring it back to my studio. And I express what I'm feeling through my work. When things are really, really hard, sometimes it's really, really hard to be disciplined and go down to the studio and work. My studio is in the lower half of our home. And sometimes the business end of it requires that I go and make art. And those are always difficult. So it does allow me an opportunity to work through those things. And art is, my family is represented in my artwork. My marriage is represented in my artwork. Our day-to-day living is represented in my artwork. And my artwork heals, it teaches. It's very experimental and relies on exploration and innovation. It causes me to continually grow. I'm constantly growing in my art, and I hope I never stop. So it does a lot.
Wonderful, yes. I think with the Artsy Aging group, as we age, we tend to lose more people in our lives, right? So
we do.
A lot of the healing effects of the art that we do practice is people dealing through grief and depression and loss, and how healing it is. And I hear stories of that all the time, of how much the impact of the art is.
We've lost 3 in just the last 3 weeks.
Oh,
so
sorry to hear that.
But like you say, it's part of where we're at in our stage of life. There's more goodbyes than hellos.
Right.
Yeah.
And the art helps us through it.
It does, really. It does for me.
It does for me also, yeah. I think most of the seniors, it's the same.
Yeah.
Can you share any personal stories of self-discovery or growth that you attribute to your art?
Well, I think I kind of touched on it. It's constant. It's daily. My work, I'm a self-taught artist, and I was not prepared for the amount of science involved in glass making. I was not a great student. I have a lot of dyslexic challenges, so I'm not great with the written word, and particularly as far as reading it goes. I have a coach and an editor that helps me write things. So honestly, I graduated from school thinking I was really stupid, and have come to learn that that is not true. And so my particular art form is all about discovery and all about exploration and creative ways of finding solutions. And I learned science through this. I didn't know what a coefficient of expansion was when I started, and I was in my 50s. So it's a constant learning cycle for me. It's constantly exploring new ideas and just trying to work at a solution. So it has created a tremendous amount of growth in my abilities, but also as a person. I've discovered that I'm not stupid, I just think differently. I'm actually smart, and I become a little more confident in that, and leaning more into being unapologetic about who I am. And my art has released that in me. And my husband and my dad, they encouraged me in that direction, for sure. But you have to come to that place as a person, and I'm getting there.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add?
I think I would just add, for anyone out there that is wondering if it's too late for them because they're in their 60s or their 70s to try something new, the answer is never. It is never too late. It's never too late to be who you were created to be, as long as you still have breath. And that's been a real lesson for me. My kids, I'm so proud of all of them, and I'm so grateful. I have 4 sons and a daughter, and 4 in-law kids. And they've come out to my shows and they show me support, and each of them have pulled me aside and thanked me for showing them that it's never too late to be who you want to be. So they continue to try different things, explore, and it is never too late. So if you haven't started yet and you're in your 60s or 70s, go for it.
Wonderful advice. I totally agree. Thank you for doing this interview. It's been a pleasure looking at your art and speaking with you.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me, Alice. I appreciate it so much.